Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Justin Timberlake.
I'm bringing sexy back.
The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now.
So if I get jealous, I can't help it.
For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Scottie Pippen Jr. so clearly should have been the MVP. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to a 5-0 record going into the championship game. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to the championship game. Was first team all summer league. What was Jalen Wilson? Second team. What are we doing here? Snubbed. Capital S-N-U-B. Snubbed.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you didn't think Penny Hardaway's Tigers would get an easy first-round matchup in the Maui Invitational this year, because that didn't happen. The bracket is now set. Game one's going to be against UConn. That's Dan Hurley's reigning and back-to-back national championship program. That is the favorite in the betting markets to win the 2025 national championship. Gonna have to bring your A game right from the jump. We'll talk about the Maui Invitational momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. The next segment, right around 10:20, I'm gonna be joined by Chris Vernon. He's the host of the Chris Vernon Show, weekdays, noon, Grind City Media. He'll pop in studio with me. I'll talk basketball and whatever else comes up with him. When I finish chatting with Vernon, I'll take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, fun game last night at Citi Field.
Okay.
Final score, Mets 3, Orioles 2. Francisco Alvarez delivered a walk-off homer on a 3-0 count in the bottom of the ninth. I'll make Bennett watch it with me. We're going to do that in about 40 minutes. Alabama football has signed its general manager to a new 3-year contract. That's a sentence you would not have heard 10 years ago.
What?
I'll give you the details in just a bit. Yeah, they got general managers now.
Okay.
A former first-round pick, Bennett put this on my radar, a former first-round pick NFL draft has been accused of exposing himself and urinating on a Delta flight. That's no way to get a complimentary upgrade.
No.
That's not how to get a complimentary upgrade. I'll tell you exactly what happened. We'll do that in the third segment. A new documentary has dropped on Netflix that I suspect it should be pretty good. It's a nice subject matter. It's on the life and death of Titans legend Steve McNair. I'll tell you more about it a little later on in the show. And night one of the Democratic National Convention is in the books. They kept President Biden up way past his bedtime last night. They kept this man up pretty late. We'll spend a few minutes on that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carryout and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with college basketball because right after we got out of here yesterday, some notable college basketball news dropped from my friend and colleague John Rothstein, and that news is specifically that the Maui Invitational bracket is now set. Penny Hardaway's Tigers are going to open the Maui Invitational with UConn. That's the reigning and back-to-back national champion, so nothing easy there. After that, Memphis will either play on day 2, Michigan State or Colorado, and then on day 3, it'll either be Auburn, Iowa State, North Carolina, or Dayton. Big Ben Bennett, let's play What Would You Take?
Okay.
Are you ready for a nice game of What Would You Take?
Yes.
What would you take record-wise for your Tigers in the Maui Invitational? 3-0 would be amazing.
Yeah, 3-0 would be amazing.
0-3 would be disappointing. Could also go 2-1 or 1-2. What would you take? What do you predict, and what would you take?
I think 2-1 would be great just because you look at that bracket and it's a lot of teams that are supposed to be good this year.
They have 4 of the 8 teams are in the top 10 of my top 25 and 1 right now.
Yeah, so if you go 2-1, you're likely going to finish the year. I would venture to say at least one of those going to be a really good resume-building win at the end of the season.
There's no way to go 2-1 in this field without getting a resume-building win. You just can't do it.
Right. So I think that 2-1's great, and I love the UConn thing, man. I mean, that's just an exciting way to start out the season. You give it your best shot. You see what your team looks like against probably the best team in the country. Like, I just think it's nothing but good news. You lose, whatever. This is a dynasty he's setting up at UConn. Yeah.
I mean, they are UConn 5th in my top 25 and 1, 12th at Bart Torvik in his preseason rankings, but number 1 in the betting markets as the favorite to win the national championship. And that is largely because people just believe in Dan Hurley and this staff. I mean, they lost 4 starters, 4 NBA draft picks, and they are expected to be excellent again. And among the reasons is because of that coaching staff. Like, we just did a Candid Coaches question asking more than 100 college basketball coaches who do they expect to be the best team in college basketball this upcoming season. And Kansas was the leading vote getter. Alabama was really high as well, but UConn did get votes. And when you would ask coaches to expand on that, they would rarely talk about the roster. When you ask people to expand on why you think Kansas is going to be the best team, yeah, Bill Self's going to get mentioned at some point, but largely the conversation is going to start with the roster. Well, they bring back Hunter Dickinson, they bring back DeJuan Harris, they bring back a total of 3 starters, and then they get in the transfer portal. They add Wisconsin's best player in A.J. Storr. They add a 5-star athletic big who projects as a lottery pick. That Kansas roster looks like the best roster in the country. That's why I think Kansas is going to be the best team in the country. You talk to college basketball coaches about Kansas, they talk about the roster. You talk about Alabama with the same group of people, they'll start the conversation with Mark Sears. You get to UConn and you say, why do you think UConn's going to be really good again? You know what they say? Because Dan's still there.
Yes.
Because Kamani's still there. Because Luke's still there. Because that staff is still intact. And they're just operating at a different level. They did not have the best roster in the country 2 years ago, but they had the best team. They didn't have, arguably. It wasn't clear-cut, I should put it that way, that they had the best roster in the country last season. But they won the national championship easily. Won every game in the tournament by double digits. Was one of the most impressive college basketball teams of the modern era. And when it comes to, the advanced metrics on stuff, they were operating at a level that isn't just championship level, that it's all-time great college basketball level. And now people expect them to be good again, even though they lost 4 starters off that team. And some of it is because, they got in the transfer portal and added nice pieces, and they're bringing in a 5-star freshman who could be a one-and-done lottery pick. And, they bring back Alex Karabin, who would have probably been selected at least in the second round of the 2024 draft had he decided to stay in it. All of that stuff is good stuff, but the main thing that makes people believe in UConn at this point is Dan Hurley and his coaching staff, and that's who Memphis is going to open up with in the Maui Invitational. Now, it's impossible to know who you're going to have to play on day 2 and who you're going to have to play on day 3 because, it's a bracket and it's going to unfold the way it unfolds, just like any bracket does. But we can look at, I think this is a reasonable way to do it, Bart Torvik's preseason computer rankings, because I only go 1 through 26. I'm not going to have Colorado or Dayton or even Michigan State or Memphis in there. But Bart Torvik goes 1 all the way to the bottom. So let's take his preseason rankings, look at the bracket, and figure out what the most likely scenario is for Penny Hardaway's Tigers in Maui. You open with UConn. And I should tell you first, Memphis is 25th at BartTorvik.com in the preseason right now.
Okay.
I'll just run you through it real quick. Iowa State's 3rd, North Carolina 6th, Auburn 7, UConn 12. Michigan State 17, Memphis 25, Dayton 70, Colorado 116. So 4 of the 8 schools participating are in the top 12 at Torvik, and 6 of the 8 are in the top 25. It is a loaded field. So Memphis will play UConn in the opener. I'm not trying to analyze anything. I'm strictly going off of these computer rankings and telling you, based off of these computer rankings, this team should beat that team. Based on the computer rankings, UConn should beat Memphis. Memphis will be an underdog in that game, barring a surprise. You never know what will happen in the first week or 2 of the season. That could
somebody gets hurt.
Somebody gets hurt. UConn gets loses a bye game and doesn't look good. Memphis beats Missouri by 50. I mean, there's a million different ways this thing could go that could change the projections by the time we get there. But based off of, if nothing more than the Bart Torvik preseason computer rankings, UConn will be expected to win that game, which would send Memphis into what amounts to the loser's bracket of the Maui Invitational. You would then play the loser of another first-round game on your side of the bracket, which is Michigan State and Colorado. Michigan State, I told you, they're 17th at Bart Torvik. Colorado is 116. Colorado is the worst team, according to these computer rankings, in the field. Michigan State should beat Colorado, and that would set up a day 2 game between your Memphis Tigers and the Colorado Buffaloes. And Memphis would be favored in that game based off of these computer rankings because Memphis is 25th and Colorado is 116. So going into day 3, based off nothing more than computer rankings, Memphis should be 1-1 going into day 3. Now let's look at the bottom half of this bracket. First round game, Iowa State against Auburn. That's an incredible first. That's 2 preseason top 10 teams. They're playing each other. Based off of these computer rankings at BartTorvik.com, Iowa State would be expected to win that game. In the bottom half, it's North Carolina and Dayton. North Carolina would be expected to win that game, which means Auburn and Dayton would be your first-round losers in the other side of the bracket. They would then play on day 2, and given that we've got Memphis beating Colorado on day 2, then Memphis would be set to play the winner of Auburn-Dayton on day 3. Auburn, being top 10 at Bart Torvik, would be expected to win that game. So we would get Memphis-Auburn on day 3. And, again, not analyzing anything. I'm just quoting computer numbers to you. Based off of BartTorvik.com, Auburn would be expected to beat Memphis on day 3 of the Maui Invitational. So the most likely outcome, based off of computer projections right now, is that Memphis goes 1-2. And here's the thing Memphis fans need to realize. If you go 1-2 there against the schedule I just laid out, 1-2 with a win over Colorado and losses to UConn and Auburn, it's fine.
Not going to hurt you.
I mean,
likely not going to hurt you.
You don't want to lose by 20 or 30 or 40. You don't want to get embarrassed because there's a lot of eyeballs on this stuff.
Yeah.
But 1-2 is not bad in this field.
Yeah.
For a team that's likely to enter the season unranked. Because at least 4 of these teams, and perhaps 5, given what voters do with Michigan State, are going to be ranked in the preseason AP poll.
Where do you have UConn again?
I have them 5th.
5th, okay.
They're 12th at Torvik. They're number 1 in the betting markets to win the national championship. Okay. Kansas is right there with them. Duke is right there with them. Alabama's right there with them. But UConn is technically the favorite to win the national championship. So 1-2 will be a fine record. That's the likely scenario. But let's dream big.
Yeah.
The difficult thing about playing in an event like this is you can get your head handed to you in a pretty visible way. This is the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, this is a big tournament.
It is the biggest of the in-season multi-team events.
It just makes you, it reminds you of Thanksgiving. Like you always watch Maui during Thanksgiving week.
We've grown up watching it.
Yep.
We've spent our adult lives, at the very least, watching this. It's always in the same building, except for when it's not, because of wildfires or whatever else. And that building is an iconic college basketball venue. It's got the mural on the back wall. First off, it's tiny. It's a little gym. It's got the mural on the back wall that I'm sure they could modernize it and make it look more basketball-y, but because it's kind of generic.
Yeah.
But it's now a staple of that building.
You recognize it, yeah.
You recognize it because you've seen it. You see it every Thanksgiving week for as long as you can remember. And it's a wonderful place to visit. I went a few years ago when R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson were at Duke. The championship game ended up being Duke-Gonzaga. Gonzaga won it. That's the Gonzaga team that had Rui Hachimura and Memphis Grizzlies reserve Brandon Clark. So I was there for that. It's the first time I'd ever been there. It's the only time I've ever been there. Matt Norlander, my colleague at CBS Sports, is going to go this year. So we'll get him on live from Maui when he's out there. But it is just an amazing trip to make. It's a haul. Like, it'll take you a minute to get there. You get to L.A. and you still got about 5 more hours to go. But I know some Memphis fans will travel and make this trip. And I know there are folks who travel with the team and like to go everywhere, whether it's East Carolina or the Bahamas. They want to be there. But this is one where if you're really trying to, man, we don't really travel with the team, but we'd like to do one of these trips one day. Is this one we could do if you can do it? And I know a lot of people can't because it's very expensive. But if you can do it, you will not be disappointed. The island, obviously I was there before the more recent wildfires. I can't speak to exactly what it looks like now, but I bet you the resort you're at is going to be amazing. And then the building, again, you just walking into that little gym that you've seen on TV every year for as long as you can remember, and you walk in and it just looks, you're like, okay, this is exactly what I've been seeing on TV. It's like almost feels like walking into a movie set. Like, you've been seeing it on TV and now you're here. It reminded me, honestly, like the first time I walked into Cameron Indoor or Allen Fieldhouse, like these places that you've just seen on TV forever. Assembly Hall at Indiana. I remember walking there for the first time, and it's just, there's something about the walls of the arena, the shot behind the benches. I just recognize those walls. The first time I ever went to the Swamp, I just recognized things I'd seen on TV forever. It's like, wow, I'm here. This is this place I've watched on CBS, 2:30 kickoffs, Danny Werfel, Steve Spurrier. Now I'm here. This looks familiar, even though I've never been here. It feels like I know all of this stuff. That's the way the Civic Center in Maui will make you feel. If you can go, you will not be disappointed. Unless, of course, the Tigers go 0-3, but you'll still have a good time. The flip side of going 0-3 and 1-2, though, is like outperforming expectations, overachieving relative to what folks think or computers think is a likely scenario as we sit here in August, a few months before the start of the season. What if you go there and you go 2-1? Or let's dream even bigger, 3-0. Well, that's how you launch yourself into a conversation you otherwise would not be in. And this happens all the time in college basketball. Teams will go to Maui and somebody has an incredible 3 days run. An individual player goes out and scores 82 points over a 3-game span. Now he's part of the National Player of the Year conversation. Like, narratives are created in that building because the field is always stacked. You can't win this without beating elite teams. There's no way to hold the trophy at the end unless you beat elite teams. And typically for you to beat elite teams, somebody's going to have to play really well. A star will emerge from your team, and your team will emerge as if you win this, people will be calling you a Final Four contender, whether it's real or not, because you can't hold the trophy without beating teams that are already considered Final Four contenders. So is Memphis likely to win it? No, Will they be expected to win it? No. We'll probably come out of there, if it goes the way it should go, with a losing record. Like that, at least a losing record while playing basketball in that building. They're going to play 3 games. We just detailed it. The most likely scenario, based on the way the bracket should play out, would be 1 and 2. But, crazier things have happened. And if you are out there and able to go perform at a high level and come out of there 2-1 or 3-0, well, now you're part of a conversation that becomes a big and fun conversation to be a part of.
If they were to beat UConn, I'm trying to think of like all the wins, the big wins that they've had, and obviously the Houston wins come to mind when Penny beat Houston when they were top 10, I think. Top 10, yeah. But I got to think of win over top 5 UConn. That'd be the biggest win of the Penny Hardaway era. I mean, I know there's been NCAA tournament as far as the team that you're playing.
Well, even last year when they got off to this hot start, it wasn't like they went out and beat UConn.
Right.
They beat some good teams.
Sure.
But they didn't go out and beat a UConn.
Yeah, that's how you get. I mean, that's like how you get on SportsCenter, get a segment, right?
Well, I mean, again, let's just play this through.
Yeah.
Again, we've already went through the most likely scenario, and obviously the worst case scenario is 0-3. The best case scenario would be you walk out of there with a win over UConn, followed by a win over Michigan State, followed by a win over North Carolina. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you could come out of there with 3 wins over 3 of the biggest programs in the history of college basketball.
And you obviously jump significantly in the rankings.
Oh, let's just, for the sake of the conversation, assume that Memphis is undefeated going to Maui.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Because whether they should be or not, they certainly could be. It's a reasonable thing. And then you beat, in order, UConn, Michigan State, and North Carolina, or even UConn, Michigan State, and Iowa State, or even UConn, Michigan State, or Auburn. By the time you get to the title game, if you go 2-0 and you get to the title game, you're either playing North Carolina, Auburn, or Iowa State. It doesn't matter. It's a top 10 team. If you were to win that, make no mistake. It doesn't matter where Memphis is ranked going into the thing. They could be unranked going into Maui. And you beat UConn, beat Michigan State, and then beat anybody in the championship game, but let's call it North Carolina because that would sound the biggest. The following Monday, you go from unranked to getting votes for number 1 in the AP poll.
Because you probably have the best resume in college basketball at that point.
Yeah. If you are undefeated coming out of Maui, how about this? Whoever is undefeated coming out of Maui will probably have the best resume
in college basketball.
Yeah. Why not us?
Dude, I'm excited. That was cool news to see yesterday. I'm excited about that one.
It really does change the way you start to talk about it, because it's like we've known for literally years that Memphis would be in the Maui Invitational.
Yep.
And it's like, who else is in it? Well, UConn and North Carolina, but you don't know.
Right.
Once you get a bracket set, and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing on this day. And then if we win it, we're going to do this. And if we lose it, we're going to do this. It feels a little realer and more almost here.
Yeah, when you talk about teams that you want, like, okay, if you can play anybody you want, okay, you can choose any teams in the country. Who would you want to play this season? I mean, dude, it'd be UConn, North Carolina, Duke, Michigan State, Kansas. Like you got a chance to play multiple teams.
No, it'll be fun.
Yeah, from that list.
Like if you're Penny Hardaway, heading into a year that I think is important for him. Obviously, this is an opportunity to really make a big splash in the first month of the season. You could be right there with Cooper Flagg as the story in college basketball heading into Thanksgiving, if that week goes well. I'm not predicting that they will be. I'm just saying it's possible. And it'd obviously be a fun thing to watch unfold. Chris Vernon will be in studio next.
We have 2 pairs of shoes that literally are not released to the public right now, and we're going to give you a live look.
First look in hand of the Armor Year 3.
Look at that leather.
Leather is super nice on this here. I actually tried to cheat this into my top 10 so far, but Kelsey said I couldn't. These have yet to be seen. These are the Armor Year 4s. These are called Phantom. I'm sorry, these are called Phantom.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board. a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
GG gonna be just fine, bro. Like he probably, like Josh probably number 1, and he's probably number 2 most talented teammates I've ever had.
Just raw talent.
Like,
wow.
bro, like
just go to the gym, hoop type stuff.
Like you walk in the gym and he might be doing a workout and you're gonna look over and be like, damn.
The Chris Vernon Show, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Scottie Pippen Jr. so clearly should have been the MVP. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to a 5-0 record going into the championship game. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to the championship game. Was first team all summer league. What was Jalen Wilson? Second team. What are we doing here? Snubbed. Capital S-N-U-B. Snubbed.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're in the Bill Ford Tough Studio, and on Tuesdays in the second segment, I'm joined by the host of the Chris Vernon Show, weekdays noon, Grind City Media. His name is Chris Vernon. He's here right now. Hey, Chris Vernon.
Hey, man.
How are you? You look like you're ready to play 18 holes. You ready to play 18 holes?
I might do it. I don't know. It's got to depend on. I might play this afternoon, dependent upon I got to see what's going on with this soccer game. My daughter's got a soccer game, and so. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get done in time for me to get over there. But I mean, I'd probably be so frustrated by 14 I could just walk off anyway.
That's the problem. Like everybody, because we're going out to TPC Southwind, and everybody.
I do want to play it in the tour conditions.
Okay, so everybody, like the tee sheet is filled up.
I know.
Everybody's out there, and
it's a 5-hour round.
My experience from this, because we've done this before, the Tuesday after the tournament, it's miserable.
It's a 5-hour round, and then I'd miss the soccer game too. So I don't know, man. We'll see.
You get out there, and you're like, I wish they'd cut the grass. Why is this grass?
Can't find my ball.
I can't find my ball.
I know. All right, so I was listening coming in. You know what you made me realize? You made me think. So I've been doing, I guess I started in media in basically 2000, so it's been a long time now. But I have a real, you were talking about the college basketball venue in Maui, and then you're talking about some of the others and how you see them on TV all the time, and then you walk into them, and it's like you have a perspective on the place, right?
It's like it looks very familiar.
As I was listening to you, I was thinking to myself, that is one thing I have a tremendous blind spot for. I have been to, I would drive down to Birmingham when they'd play. I'd drive up to St. Louis when they play. I went to the games in the Pyramid. I went to the games in FedEx Forum, obviously. I've gone to the NCAA tournament, but that's a totally different, But in terms of like home college basketball arenas, I have like virtually no perspective on it outside of what either you have told me or other people have told me over the years. So here's what we're doing, Bennett.
Okay.
We're going to play a little game here.
I like games.
Let's just say I have the opportunity this year, and I can go to 5 arenas.
Yes.
Any 5, and I want them in order.
Okay.
Gary Parrish's 5 college basketball arenas you would go to if you were me, and you could go to almost like a.
Got it.
You find out I got a year left. Hopefully I don't.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
But that, like, you know, my bucket list as a college basketball fan is I need to go to 5 different arenas, and regardless of game. Like, we're not talking about a matchup or anything. These are the 5 college basketball arenas in order I would need that you would recommend to go to in person.
Started with Allen Fieldhouse at Kansas.
Number 1.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's incredible. I mean, it's
Chris Wallace used to always tell me that.
It's just it's a barn.
Yeah.
But it's jam packed, and they start that it's just cool. It's awesome. So start there. Next, Cameron Indoor at Duke.
All right.
Lives up to expectations. Just like when you walk into Wrigley for the first time.
So these places are not overrated in the least.
It's the coolest.
They're properly rated.
You walk into Duke. My favorite thing about Duke is Cameron Indoor Stadium, this place that everybody recognizes the inside of it. We've all seen it on TV our whole lives. If I just dropped you on the Duke campus and said, go find the basketball arena, it just looks like the English building. There's a sign that says Cameron Indoor, so you would know if you looked at the sign, but you look at this place, I've done this before, Google the outside of Cameron Indoor. Have you ever seen it?
You don't even know what it looks like?
I'm going to show you.
You know what's crazy about you saying that? You know what immediately came to my mind? When the NCAA tournament was in Columbus, Ohio, Roser and I went over to Ohio State University just because we wanted to see it.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
It just looks like any other building.
So that's crazy. It looks like the Alamo.
Right. It's just, and you walk in and it's tiny. And it looks like, and you walk, you know, when you walk into a high school gym and it's like you walk through the front doors and then there's a concession stand right there?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
That's crazy.
It's like you're walking into a high school gym.
Well, we went to, so we were like, we need to go see what Ohio State's like. So we just walked on the campus, right? And we walked straight into the football stadium. It's in the middle. And we're just kind of bopping around. And like they have like 60,000 undergrads. Like that place is like a utopia, right? It's like one of the biggest schools in the country.
And Columbus is like a real city. It's not like a college town.
So I'll never forget, we're walking around the campus and there's a place that looks almost exactly like the Mid-South Coliseum, right? And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, that must be the basketball stadium. And so then we walk by, we see this other person that's walking across campus. And I was like, hey, is that the basketball stadium? And they're like, no, that's the hockey arena. And I was like, what? I've never heard of Ohio State hockey.
No.
I'm like, bro, this place looks like that. I'm like, y'all got too much money
They
here.
do have too much money.
I'm like, you have basically the Mid-South Coliseum
I was there
in the middle of your campus.
Like back when Mike and Greg Oden were there, maybe shortly after that. But I went to Ohio State. Thad Matta was still the coach. And I go to a practice, and I walk into the practice facility, and it's biggest one I've ever seen, really nice. And I'm like, man, this is really nice, Thad. And he goes, yeah, we're getting a new one. I was like, you're getting a new one? And I was like, how old is this one? He's like, about 10 years. And I said, you what? He's like, I said, why do you need a new one? He's like, we don't. They're just doing it. The premise is basically they had to spend the money so they could say we don't have any money. Well, how are we supposed to pay players? We don't have any money. So they just build new stuff all the time. So at Ohio State, to your point about they have too much money, they had one of the nicest facilities in the country, and they were building a new one, and the coach didn't even ask for it.
That's crazy. All right, so we're at Fog Allen, Cameron, number 3.
Assembly Hall, Indiana.
Really?
It's just cool. It's just
even now.
Yeah, well, they're going to be good.
But it's been a long time.
Yeah, but when they're good, it's great. And so I would put that on the list somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
When is the last time? I mean, Mike Davis?
Kelvin had him top 10 in the country.
I mean, but in terms of like big tournament success.
Well, that team could have maybe won the national title. Kelvin got fired.
The Eric Gordon team.
Yeah, the Eric Gordon team. You go back and look at that team, and that was like top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, loaded.
When Kelvin got fired. So Assembly Hall is great. Those 3 I would start with. Any year you ask me, those 3 are going to be on it. After that, I might say the Kennel at Gonzaga.
Really?
It's just great. It's incredible.
That's interesting.
Small, 6,000 or so. I don't know the exact number, but it's tiny. And
I didn't realize it was that small.
Oh yeah, they built.
That's why they moved the big games to like Spokane
downtown,
or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, that's why like Kentucky is going to play Gonzaga, but they're doing it at downtown arena.
Okay.
To get more people in there, but also because John didn't want to go on. When they booked it, John didn't want to go on campus. Same way he didn't want to go on campus when he coached at Memphis. Memphis never actually played Gonzaga at the Kennel. John wouldn't do it.
Right.
So the Kennel would probably be on there, and then I'm thinking of just
he's got a lot of blue buds off there. No Carolina, no Kentucky.
I will tell you one that is not historically strong, but it is as good as it gets now. So it's not one of these places like you asked this question 10 years ago, 20 years ago, really at any other time in the history of sport. But right now, great program, great coach, great new building, and it's Auburn. Auburn is awesome.
Because it's brand new.
Yeah, and it's like 9,000, so they fill it up. And Auburn's really good.
Tell you this, if they ever got cracking, that Ole Miss arena is
awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yo, I was just telling somebody this past weekend. I was like, man, we went in there. Of course, my kids were on cloud nine because you walk to the right and there's a Raising Cane's. You walk to the left and there's a Steak and Shake.
Right.
And they were telling me, yo, if you go to school here, people eat here for lunch. You can use your meal plan.
Right.
I'm like, man, I'd be 700 pounds my freshman year. If you would have told me I could eat Raising Cane's or Steak and Shake, I was eating at this sorry ass cafeteria at my school, like eating like a baked potato. I lost so much weight.
We had a Taco Bell right by the journalism building at Memphis.
So you ate Taco Bell every
Hey, they
day.
got an underrated food court.
But I haven't been there in 20 years.
They had Chick-fil-A when I was there.
I don't know if they had that when I was there.
Yeah,
But they definitely
had
had a Taco
Chick-fil-A
Bell.
when
I
I
would
was
go
there.
get a bean burrito every day. That's what I have for lunch every day, a bean burrito.
Man, I'd eat some Raising Cane's or Steak and Shake. Anyway, that they did the Ole Miss one right.
No, it's great.
Great arena, for sure.
Going forward, like Baylor just built a new one. Texas just built a new one. Ole Miss's is relative. It's not new, but it's smaller. That's the way to build it. Every college basketball arena, not every, like Kansas can do whatever it wants, Kentucky, but Memphis would be better suited in a 9,000 seat.
I mean, look,
arena.
you hear about all the glory days back in the Coliseum.
Yeah, that's
People
9,000.
talk about how amazing that was. How you just couldn't even get in the door.
Yeah,
you couldn't get a ticket. Everybody wanted a ticket.
Yep.
You couldn't get a ticket.
Now you can go whenever you want.
You can go wherever you want.
Whenever you want.
Right, yeah.
No, I remember.
You can get a ticket.
I remember
bro.
when I was a kid, like if my parents stumbled into Memphis basketball tickets, that was like a big deal. Like that might be where they're like, hey, we love your soccer team, but we're going to a Memphis basketball game today. Good luck. Like that was and it was like, well, you don't get these very often. So now that we got them, we got to go.
You talk about that huge, the Houston one, the one that even took place here. I didn't have tickets to it, and I bought me and William tickets. We sat on the front row of the upper deck in the corner for $6 a piece.
That's right.
I mean,
One of the
tickets.
problems,
It's too big. I thought the Tennessee one was too big too.
Memphis.
I know they can pack it out, but Thompson Bowling it felt like
it's too big.
Too cavernous.
Yeah, it's too big. They can fill it up. But
I love that UAB one, the old Bartow.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing, that didn't even have a Jumbotron in it.
Like under 10,000 is what college basketball programs need, even programs like Memphis, just to build demand. One of the issues for that university, for that athletic department, their football stadium's too big for their football program, and their basketball arena's too big for their basketball program.
Do you feel confident in your list? So we've got it: Kansas, Duke, Indiana, Gonzaga, Auburn.
I will say, I've never been to Iowa State, and people say that's great.
Ames.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the big ones. North Carolina, it's just a big place. It's just a big arena with a bunch of old
Same
people.
with Kentucky?
Kentucky's feels like just a big arena.
It's huge.
Yes.
Rupp Arena's huge.
Yeah, I'm not hating on it. Like, it's fine, but when you walk down Fieldhouse, you're like, oh, wow, this is it. You walk into Rupp, it's like, this is big.
Trying to think, what are the other premier ones? There's UCLA.
Pauley Pavilion's nicer
Michigan
now.
State.
But the thing about Pauley Pavilion is like, people just don't care.
What about Michigan State?
Michigan State's great. Michigan State's great. I've been there a couple of times, I think. It's really good.
Looks cool on TV.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
San Diego State.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense because they're always good and
San Diego State's awesome.
Yeah.
VAS Arena.
Neutral, is Maui the best?
Yes.
Because it's small.
Small.
That's the trick, right?
You got a great,
all of those places that you
it.
mentioned. And you said Auburn's less than 10, probably?
I think it's less than 10, yeah.
Kennel is less than 10?
Yeah, for sure.
What is Allen Fieldhouse?
It's like 17. It's big.
It's big.
It's big.
But it's just
It's Kansas. I mean,
and it's what they care about.
It's jam-packed every game,
That's right.
and they got the Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It's the best.
Who are we forgetting? Bennett.
Okay, so I just googled. They pulled up like unique ones. Wichita State, believe it or not.
Wichita State, when Greg was there, was
with Greg Marshall.
When Greg was there, it was like Fred VanVleet, Ron Baker. It was excellent.
West Virginia.
I've been there. I think that's probably
the
more.
West Virginia Coliseum.
I think West Virginia is a place where when they're great, it's great, and when they're not, it's not.
Bramlage, I guess that's Kansas State.
Oh, great! Like when I've been there.
Yeah.
When it was, I was there when Frank Martin was there, and it was excellent.
Kansas State.
I was there for a Kansas State-Kansas game, and it was awesome.
Xavier's, the Centos Center.
Been there. It's great. A lot of these places they're great when the team is great, and they're just whatever when the team's whatever. But like Kansas is. Maybe because the team's always great, but Kansas feels like it's going to be.
Okay, what about this one? Arizona's the McHale
I've
Center.
never been there. I've never been there. Everybody says it's great.
They say it's the biggest one in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
It's the biggest one in the Pac-12?
Yeah.
Well, now it's one of the biggest ones in the Big 12.
And Dayton's up here on this list, too.
Oh, man, Dayton, I tell you this.
Dayton's great.
I became a Dayton fan. When they came here, they were in the Elite Eight here with Archie Miller, right?
Mm-hmm.
The year that he was coaching them. Man, they brought their whole city here.
Yes.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
No,
I was like, yo, because I've been to a lot of NCAA tournaments, and every once in a while there's a school that's like that happens to be in your pod, and you can't fathom that they brought as many people as they did. But Dayton,
no, they care deeply.
God.
They care deeply about it.
Buddy, they brought the house when they came here.
Well,
it was like half the arena, and they were here way early.
Well, that's among the reasons the first four is in Dayton every year, because the NCAA knows these basketball fans they'll come see whoever's here.
You know who I got caught up with last year that I loved was Asian Steph Curry, Nebraska.
Nebraska, right.
Bro, they brought the house too.
Yeah.
And they were there early, 30 minutes before the game. They're doing all their Nebraska cheers and everything. And I was like, yo, Nebraska travels anywhere.
Well, anytime.
And I guess they hadn't been good in so long.
And it's a big state university. Like the whole state cares about Nebraska.
And if I'm not mistaken, the thing with them, too, not only had they not been good and their whole state came, and Fred Hoiberg's there now, right? And they had this fun play or whatever, but I believe one of them told me they had never won
an NCAA tournament game.
Like, there's very few schools that is true of in the Power Five. And I was like, you've never, and of course they got their ass kicked by Texas A&M, or whatever, but yeah, they had never won an NCAA tournament game, and so that was a portion of it. It was like, we've made the tournament again. We're all going because this is like history.
Well, remember when Memphis went to a bowl game for the first time in forever under Tommy West, and it was like just the New Orleans Bowl or whatever it was, but it was like a big deal, and everybody went.
Everybody.
Because it was like, man, we ain't done this in so long.
Yep.
And that was going on with Nebraska a little bit. I just thought of another one, Hinkle at Butler. Just because it's cool.
Yes.
And it is cool. You walk in and you're like, this is cool.
And they got real history, too.
Yes.
Oh, great program.
Like, that's what the thing about Allen Fieldhouse.
What about Creighton?
Creighton's great.
Omaha.
I was there for Doug McDermott's senior night.
Yeah, Omaha,
I was on the sideline
right?
for that. We had it on CBS Sports Network. It was Creighton Providence, and it's a downtown arena. They pack it out. Like, they pack it out the way Memphis used to pack this out.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, being there for McDermott's senior night, that was great. Yeah. That was one of my favorite nights of working.
But you feel confident in that top three?
Yeah, for sure. That would have to
because I felt like after three, you were like,
after three, I could list 10, and they would all be comparable.
You could switch out. You wouldn't.
I could switch out.
You're not married to Gonzaga.
I'm not married to
Auburn.
4 and 5, but I'm married to Kansas, Duke, and what's the other
Indiana.
one? Indiana. Those three are.
And Assembly Hall's not that big?
It's big.
Oh, it is big.
Yeah, but it's just unique.
The whole state cares about them.
And it feels like, I don't know, there's something about being, because it's weird because you're in NBA arenas and they're not all the same, but they all kind of feel similar. They're really nice and they're constructed a certain way. In college basketball, you still get, like, this thing was built in 1920. You still get a lot of that stuff. So
I'm going to be fascinated to see if the Clippers' new arena has an impact on the way things are done going forward, because I don't know if have you seen all this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, beyond all the technology, they have like everything that you could ever imagine. It's going to be like Jerry World, except it's a basketball arena. Like, they have the most unbelievable jumbotron, iPads in the seat, chargers on your seat, like anything you can imagine technology-wise, as would be the case, as Steve Ballmer is the owner. But the other thing they have done, you can do season tickets at a reasonable price.
Mm-hmm.
The backside on the on one of the end zones, they call it. You can look it up. It's called the wall.
Okay.
It's like the wall of sound, and basically you buy tickets at the wall like you would for, like, say, the bleachers at Wrigley, and it's first come first serve, right? And you get there and they pack it in, and there's like, you can reserve a seat for like a friend. I think that's it. But you really need to be a season ticket holder, and you got to be a Clippers fan,
right,
to get into this wall thing. And the whole idea is, like, you're going to come down to the end of a game, and
it's going to look like a
and
student
there's
section.
going to be a wall of yes,
Right.
They're basically creating an NBA student section at a game at more affordable prices for real fans that could sit behind it. I'm like, you know what? If this works, and it does become, it's possible it could become an advantage. I mean, you know, you never know,
Well,
right?
that is the one thing.
It's like there is no advantage to most of these cavernous NBA arenas, right? But if you had a crowd as a student section right behind the basket, that's it, and the acoustics create this wall of sound, like, I'll be fascinated to see if it can create an advantage, especially like second half of games, end of games. You know, because I remember I was reading this thing last year, and sometimes you can construct this. I did not even realize this, but if you saw, like, say the Patriots go to the Miami Dolphins, right? And you'll notice this year. These teams have to, on 18-wheelers, they bring in benches. They bring in their own benches to the sideline. And they're these cooling benches, right? That, like, blow, like, you know, cold air on you, and they emit cold air from the bottom or whatever. And the reason is they built that stadium so that the visitor sideline is in the sun all day, and the other half, the Dolphins are always in the shade. Everybody's in the shade. So they say it's like 200 degrees right on the visitor sideline in Miami. And so they actually, when they built that stadium, they had in mind this weird advantage that they could create. And I wonder, you know, this is the first time we've really seen it with an NBA arena where somebody, like, went out of their way to attempt to create a home court advantage. And I promise you, you know the way that things work. I mean,
if it works, if it works,
and you'll see it, and maybe it, you know, to me, what if it heightens the experience a great deal? You know, one of the things that is so much different about going to those college games that you get to go to is the level of intensity. It is one of the things that's great about Memphis, and a small market is always much better. Oklahoma City's unbelievable. Minnesota was great in the playoffs. Like, the small markets, they care more. It means more to them. It's rowdier. Usually are not filled with millionaires in the first, 15 to 30 rows.
Like, you can't, like, I've always made this point about college basketball. You can't match the on-the-court product that the NBA has. The players are just better. They're professionals. So, like, when people watch college basketball and they say, God, it's just one missed shot after another. Yeah, because these are amateurs and these are professionals, and so it should look different. But what the NBA can't replicate is the atmosphere.
No, the ambiance at college athletics is infinitely different.
There is no NBA game.
There's nothing.
No NBA game will ever. I mean, I know LeBron back in Cleveland for the first time. They get that kind of stuff. But for the most part, an NBA game cannot create anything close to the same atmosphere just a random Auburn LSU Saturday afternoon game will create.
The only thing that's close here is playoffs. Playoffs here, when they do the rally towels and everything, it really becomes, it's more like a college environment. Under regular season, and like, I would just say, college football, there is nothing
like that.
Nothing. I've been to all manner. I mean, I've been to NFL games, and they are just sterilized compared. I mean, it's just not the same heat that you get inside those. I mean, I remember. I'll never forget. I remember calling the first time I ever went to Alabama, and I went to this Alabama game, and I walked in, and I wanted to take it all in. And I was like, maybe, I don't know, say I'm 45 minutes before the game. Man, I called everybody in my phone, and I said, look now, bet everything you have. It was like they were undefeated and Florida was undefeated. I said, bet every amount of money you have. I said, this place is a flat hornet's nest.
Nobody's winning.
I was like, ain't nobody. And man, they were up 31-0 at half, and people were calling me. They're like, thanks, bro. And I'm like, yo, I never been in anything like that. They were out for blood.
Like, I don't care about going to games anymore, but I do appreciate those experiences that I've had. That, like, you know me, I don't get excited about much.
That's
like
right.
being like, oh yeah, I'm whatever. But like, you're at Clemson and the place is bouncing, and they like take the bus from the facility. You watch this. You're in the like they're at the facility. Like, it's the game's starting in 20 minutes and they ain't even here yet.
Oh yeah.
They're in. You watch them load onto the bus. We're all sitting there at the jumbotron. This is every Clemson game, and then the bus like slowly creeps around to the stadium. Has to drive, however far it has to drive. And then they just park right behind the stadium. And next thing you know, here comes Dabo and the team, and they're just running down that hill.
And they're showing it on the video screen.
And it's amazing.
It's crazy, yeah.
And then Alabama does something similar.
Man, when I said Alabama time, that's when I was telling you.
Like, I'm ready to play. I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
It was 40 minutes before the game. The whole damn stadium was packed.
Yeah.
And they're like, roll Tide. And I'm like, God.
Those college
can you imagine another team trying to walk into this
being
thing?
at Florida when they start that chomp. I mean, there's some really cool college football stuff that I've had.
The college football one for sure, like the Notre Dames and the all those. Those are.
When I first got to CBS, it was like I covered basketball, Dennis Dodd covered college football, and that's all we had.
Yeah.
So I would help him early in football season, and by help, it was the best. I would literally fly into Chicago on a Friday, go over to South Bend, be at the game, write a column,
You're not
and get
even
out of there.
Remember this? Do you remember? What do you think the one I remember you telling me about? It's probably 20 years ago now. If you told me about a college, I remember you telling me, like, dude, it was.
I remember one standing out that it was just a night game, and it was like you drive in, and it's like, woo, buddy, this is a scene. Penn State.
That was it.
Yeah, Penn State.
Oh, I've heard it's we
were there for a whiteout. Like a Penn State, Michigan
I remember
whiteout.
you telling me like Penn State was crazy.
Penn State was crazy.
My sister and brother-in-law both went there, and my wife went and visited them one time, and she was like, "It's just insane. It's just that campus because you got to go through the mountains to get to it when it's snowing."
It almost feels
and
like
stuff.
I don't remember. It's like I have this visual of like you come over a hill, and then it's like there it is. You just sort of it's just there.
It looks awesome on TV every time.
But I got to go to Michigan and Notre Dame and the Rose Bowl and Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, just all the big ones.
Yeah.
And those are fun Saturdays.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I know people who just like I've got friends. There's a college basketball coach who works in the Big 12, and he's like planning to come down this year. He has no connection to anything. He's just like, take me to an Ole Miss game.
Oh, dude, there's so many people that
So there's like a Big 12
time.
coach. I'm just taking him to an Ole Miss game. He just wants to go.
Yes. Dude, the first time
That's a cool
when
atmosphere.
I first moved here, that was my first job, was covering the Eli Manning teams, David Cutcliffe, Eli Manning, Ole Miss teams. So I used to go down there on Saturdays. The radio station I worked at was a Ole Miss station, so they just send me down there, and I'd have to get audio and whatever else, and I would cover these games. And the first time I ever walked in to Ole Miss, there was a kid that was in front of me, and I'll never forget this. He had an entire fifth of Jack Daniels, like a big bottle, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That joker put it straight in his belt line like that, put his shirt out like that, and walked straight in front of me. And I'm like, yo, this is about to get wild now.
Yeah.
And I mean, every other kid had it like that too. I'm like, they're sneaking in fifths of alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is about to get crazy.
LSU's like that too, just bananas.
Hey, I walk in, and I'm sitting, and I'm with my friend. Now, again, remember, I've never been to an SEC game like this. And so I walk into the arena, and as soon as I walk in to the stadium, they're like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the national anthem, whatever, right? And this guy stands up, and he goes, go to hell, LSU! Right? And I said, yo, I thought they were playing Kentucky. They're like, they are. And I was like, okay, bro. I was like, yeah, I'm in a different world now, bro.
That's like when Knicks fans get on the subway, they start F. Trey Young, and they just beat the Bucks.
Yes. So
they just
they
want to
did
hate
Trey
Trey
Young. I was on. It's funny you say that. I went and watched the Yankees play against Trout and Ohtani, and they were chanting F. Trey Young on the subway.
I love that.
My daughter's like, what are they saying? I was like, nothing.
I love that.
That's just become a thing.
Yeah.
Like this is going to end up in the like grand scheme of things being this random NBA player. Like, I mean, you know, like
hilarious.
So
depending
good.
on how his career pans out.
So
Dude was
good.
cussing out LSU. They were playing Kentucky. I was like, I thought they were playing Kentucky. They're like, they are.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay.
You got to get your hate in whenever
But,
you get it.
hey, if you hate them, you hate them.
If you hate him, you hate him. You hate him no matter what day it is.
That's it. Oh, God. You'll love this. There's a guy at my golf course. I mean, I walk up on these guys. These guys are hammered, surprisingly. And they're like, so who do you think's going to be in the playoffs, right? Oh, the sports guy's here, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, this guy that's sitting there, he just starts talking wild as a buck, right? He's big Ole Miss guy. He might as well still be in a frat, right? But he's our age. Right.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably actually know the guy.
Trust me, you know.
Okay.
So he says, he's like, you think Ole Miss is going to make the playoff? I was like, you know what? They got a really good chance. They're really high ranked. And I said, I think probably, you know, I think if you can be the third place team in the SEC, you're going to get there, right? He's like, there probably ain't but one loss on that schedule, blah, blah. He starts going through the schedule like I care. Right. And he's like, and I was like, well, what about LSU? And he's like, LSU, we'll beat them by 17. I said, oh, my God. I said, no, you won't. And he said, we'll beat them by 17. You mark my words, right? Another guy sitting at the table also. He's about 8 margaritas deep. He's like, I'll take that bet. So a guy's like, fine, let's bet it. This is college football in the South. So he says, I said, this guy's name's Sammy. I said, Sammy. I said, bet him $1 million. He's like, I'll take that for whatever amount you want to. So now these guys are drunk. They're betting over the Ole Miss. Right? He's like, you can give me plus 17. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'll give you 17. Yeah, whatever. So they're like arguing, whatever. So now he takes the 17. Okay. This other guy. He says, all right, I'll take plus 17. Right? They've made this bet. Okay. So, anyways, he's going through it, and I'm like, look, man. I was like, you're not going to win by it. I was like, that's a ridiculous bet to make. Like, when is the last time Ole Miss beat LSU by 17? Come on, bro. So he's like, I told you. He's like, he said, you mark my words. He goes, let me tell you what. If they do it, you better go on the air and you say I was right.
People love for you to say they were right on the air.
Hey, and I said, and when you're wrong, imagine this. Look how fun it's going to be for me to say, you're never going to believe this, guys. I met an overconfident Ole Miss fan. Hey, so now we're arguing, and I was like, you know what?
Probably still got a Deuce for Heisman bumper sticker on his BMW.
So now I said to him, I said, look, I was like, you know, like FanDuel, DraftKings, all these places, I was like, they have like games of the year. I was like, I bet they've already got that posted, right? That's going to be one of the games of the year, whatever. So I was like, I bet I'll go look it up right now. Guy's like, go ahead. Whatever. I go and look it up. It said, LSU minus 2.5. I said, Sammy, you got 19.5 points in the LSU game. And he's like, what? And he's like, what about their schedule? He's like, look who they play the week before, though. And I was like, okay. So now I was like, I don't even care who they play the week before. Okay, I really don't. He's like, fine. He grabs his phone. He's like, looking through. He's like, oh shit. And I was like, what? He's like, I was wrong about their schedule. They got to buy. I was like, oh my. So this dude, there's a dude I know who's got plus basically 19.5 on Ole Miss LSU. That's when you know college football is coming up, right? Mm-hmm. They are ready to go. We're ready to go, bro. They are making. I witnessed 2 guys bet on Ole Miss LSU in October.
And a conversation exactly like that happened at every golf course in America, in the South at least.
Yes.
Every golf course got that conversation.
This dude's got plus 17. I was so jealous. I was like, that is crazy. I can't wait for that game. I swear to God, if Ole Miss beats them by 100, I'm going to lose my mind. And I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, God.
I told you
to mark my words.
Yep.
Man, if I had $1 for every time somebody told me to mark their words, even though they were about to tell me words I couldn't care less about.
Maybe it'll be the year for. Maybe it'll be their year. You know what I mean?
People always want me to mark their words about stuff I don't care about. GP, mark my words, dude. I don't care. All right, I don't care. Your favorite team could win or die. It doesn't matter to me. But sure, I'll mark your words. If it'll make you shut up, I'll mark your words. All right, Chris Vernon.
Holler, holler.
I'll see you later. He'll be in studio at noon. Grind City Media. When we come back, there was a fun baseball game last night at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens. Mets took a 3-0 lead on Baltimore. Orioles come back tied up 3-3. I bet you that's when Bennett started getting confident. But you didn't know you was going to have to deal with Sugar Diaz in the top of the ninth, and then Francisco Alvarez going to have a green light with a 3-0 count in the bottom of the ninth. That's how you end the game. We'll watch it again together. Do that next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
They needed size. They needed shooting. What were your initial thoughts on how this class turned out for the Grizzlies?
Analytically looking at it, you had to have a big man, and they got the best big man that was left on the board.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Looking at the college football playoff and the odds to make the college football playoff, this is the top 13 teams. 7 of these 13 are out of the SEC.
I think that first year in the SEC is going to be different. Like I do. I just think it's going to be different.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I saw the Drew Hill story. Y'all rode together in the car, and you put the seat back.
Yeah, I put the seat all the way back, and his knees were still crunched up. And he was like, "Nah, bro, I drive a Kia, man."
A Kia?
What?
He's 7'4", yo.
Yeah, I don't know how he does.
He got the seats removed.
Somehow.
The Chris Vernon Show live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Looking for a full court dining experience? Dribble over to Southland Casino Hotel, your ultimate gaming oasis in West Memphis. As a proud sponsor of the Memphis Grizzlies, we're inviting you to savor the flavors at our 8 incredible dining venues. Ignite Steakhouse is where culinary excellence gets grilled. Indulge in charcoal grilled steaks and farm-to-table favorites, perfectly paired with wine or handcrafted cocktails. Enjoy an all-access buffet experience at the Kitchens, or revel in comfort food and Southern classics at the Fry House. If casual is more your thing, sample the innovative fare at Seasons Cafe, while Chairman's Bar and Charred Oak Bourbon Bar serve up cocktails and live concerts every week. For those on the go, The Grind is your one-stop coffee shop with gourmet brews and grab-and-go goodies. And of course, we can't forget the Sports Bar and Grill, where you can catch all the Grizzlies action with the best pub fare in town. At Southland Casino Hotel, we've got the perfect dining experience for you, so come on down and ignite your taste buds today.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Maxwell in concert. The Serenade Tour. October 16th at FedEx Forum. Maxwell. With special guest Jasmine Sullivan. And October London. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Maxwell Live.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings, and even on Saturday. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org. To find your nearest urgent care location, just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Oh, it was a tremendous baseball game last night at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens. NL East wild card contender, the New York Mets, were hosting the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles, and it was a back-and-forth affair. The Mets took a 3-0 lead, but then Baltimore cut it to 3-1, then tied it 3-3. We're headed into the ninth. Edwin Diaz puts up a 0 in the top of the ninth. He's the Mets' record-setting closer, and then we go to the bottom of the ninth, tied, with the Mets having an opportunity to walk it off. Francisco Alvarez, the young catcher was up at the plate. And you might think, Bennett, when you saw the count go to 3-0, you go, okay. I guess they're just going to put Francisco Alvarez on because he's going to take a pitch here. He'll just take a pitch here. So if you're Baltimore's pitcher, you're probably like, I just need to spin one over the plate. He's going to take a pitch here. No way he's got a green light on 3-0 in the bottom of the ninth. They need a base runner. But turns out he had a green light. Bennett, let's watch it together.
Alvarez swings and he drives one deep left center field. Mullins looks up and it's out of here. Alvarez swings 3-0 and he wins the game for New York with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth.
Smile, Bennett.
I mean, what the hell was that pitch? Like,
so get it over. Just trying to get a pitch over.
This friggin' T-ball, dude. Like, jeez.
Looked like T-ball, didn't it? He made it look like T-ball, didn't it? Hey, that's a big league power hitter. You can't just spin one over to plate. You can't just spin one over to plate and expect him not to unload on it. That's Francisco Alvarez. What are we talking about?
Dude,
what are we even talking about?
I was so pissed off.
I was so joyful.
I know you were.
I was filled with joy.
Because when Urias,
my heart was filled with joy.
When Urias hit that home run in the 7th, I was like, okay, the bats are waking up. The bats are waking up. Gunner's coming. I was ready. I was ready.
I wasn't feeling so good about things. I wasn't feeling so good about things. But that moment, I think that's the best in sports in terms of ending a competition. I don't think there is any cooler way to end a competition than with a no-doubt home run that is a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th, bottom of the 10th, bottom of the 11th, whenever it is. Because, Kyra, if you can pull that back up, watch Alvarez. He knows it right off the bat. Mm-hmm. So you get to have this entire celebration before the ball even leaves the field. And then you get to trot around the bases. Watch him. He knows it right off the bat. He turns to his dugout. Doesn't even need to watch it.
God, I hate that.
I love it.
That makes me so
I
mad.
love it.
Cool.
And then you get this. So think about it. What's the equivalent in basketball?
Yeah, okay.
Game winning 3, all right?
I see where you're going because I was going to argue with you.
But then it's a game winning 3. The game's over. That's unbelievable. You get, your teammates jump on you, whatever. But you don't really get a moment to yourself. Football, whatever the equivalent is, more likely it's a game-winning field goal. Mm-hmm. But let's say you're Patrick Mahomes and you complete a pass in overtime and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same. That you get to enjoy the moment. I don't know that there's anything that feels better coming off of a bat. A no-doubter, you know it. It's like in basketball, you might know it when it leaves your hand. In football, you can't really know it when it leaves your hand because it requires somebody else to catch it if you're a quarterback. You're in charge. You know it right off the bat, and then you have these trots from home to first to second to third back to home, and you're by yourself. You get to enjoy the moment by yourself, and then everybody's just waiting on you. I'll get home whenever I get home. It might take me 30 seconds. It might take me 20. It might take me 90. I'll get home whenever I get home. I'm going to enjoy this moment to myself while I jog around these bases. I'll get home whenever I get home. You just be waiting for me when I get there to celebrate me. And then you get home, and your whole family is just ready to celebrate you. I don't think there's anything better.
I think I tend to agree. So, like in basketball, if you when you hit a game winner, it's going to be like a buzzer beater,
sure.
right? Well, you got the refs are going to go review it. So you get a little bit of the air taken out, even though you still have the celebration.
Nobody got to review that one.
Right.
Nobody got to review that.
Right. There's no review there, right? So in basketball, you're going to always have a review on a buzzer beater. So it takes a little bit of there's a pause right after the celebration and everything. And then in football, I mean, I guess you just don't get that often in football. Right. Yeah.
That's as good as it gets. Even in golf, I was thinking about golf. Like, let's say you're tied going into 18. You're the last person on the course. You've got a 15-footer for birdie. You make it, you win the Masters. You miss it, you're going to a playoff. That's still an awesome moment if you sink it. But here's the thing about putts, that unless you play golf, you can't fully understand.
Yeah.
Putts, they don't look amazing. They're so hard to make. But when you make them, they just look like Oh, he rolled a ball in. Cool.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that.
No, that's true.
They don't look amazing.
Someone said
typically every once in a while you get this big bender. Like I know Dustin Johnson made one a few years ago, I think to force a playoff, and it was like this big bender where it almost stops. That was a moment. But for the most part, go watch Tiger Woods just making putts, and you're like, oh, Tiger Woods made putts. Okay.
Yeah.
That. Walk-off homers.
Someone said NHL sudden death overtime, which I agree is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But I'm
talking specifically about a moment. NHL overtime in the playoffs is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just the moment. Like, hey, this game is about to be over because of this moment. I don't think there's anything better than that. Because it's also like dominance over another human. Like you're throwing something at me and I'm gonna hit it 400 feet.
Dude,
all
I
right?
was
So you have
so
dominance
mad.
over another human. I think dominance over another human adds to it.
Yeah, I
then
think
you get to
you're
look
right.
at your dugout and you don't even have to watch the ball. I think if I could do anything, that's the one I'd like to do most. I never had a walk-off homer. Never.
Mm-hmm.
I had walk-off hits, I think, but never a walk-off homer.
Oh, I was mad.
I never got to experience that.
I was angry
except
last
for in
night.
wiffle ball. I've had walk-off wiffle ball homers. That felt good too, if I'm being honest. That felt good too. Felt real good.
I'm just pissed off that we're going to be a wild card team.
Oh,
that's just where this is going.
Hey, Bennett.
I've accepted it already.
Hey Bennett, don't worry. You get to pick it. You get to pick the game again tonight. Oh, I'm gonna make you pick it again tonight. Let's see if you'll go with the underdog Orioles twice
who
in
we
a row.
got tonight? Dean Kramer.
Let's
Great.
see.
Can't wait.
Let's see if you want to go with the underdog Orioles again tonight. That's
Can't wait
coming
to give
up.
up 3 runs in the first inning.
That's coming up in GP's carryout.
Okay, great.
Number 2.
Alabama football general manager Courtney Morgan has agreed to a new precedent-setting contract with the Crimson Tide following a summer approach from USC. Sources confirmed to ESPN last night. Bennett, did you even know Alabama had a general manager? Did you know that college football programs now routinely have general managers? This is not a position that existed 10 years ago.
I had no idea. What does a general manager do for a college football program?
So I think different programs, different things.
Yeah.
Depending on how hands-on a head coach might want to be.
But you're not building a roster.
You are in many cases helping, maybe not roster build, but helping identify either high school prospects or more likely transfers.
I guess you got to figure out where the money's going to.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
Right.
You like
divvy it up.
Duke has what amounts to a basketball general manager. And this person's job is to help raise the money for NIL, then help distribute the money for NIL. Hey, there's this cornerback from Southern Miss who was first team all conference. He's getting into the portal and is interested in us. How much do we have for him? What's a reasonable offer to make? It is your general manager's job to know that type of stuff. Ultimately, the head coach is going to have final say on all of this stuff.
Sure.
So the power dynamic isn't quite as the same as it would be in an NFL front office or an NBA front office, where the general manager is going to be in charge of the roster. For instance, here, Taylor Jenkins is not in charge of the roster. He's in charge of coaching the team. Zach Kleiman is in charge of building the roster and deciding, with the help of his front office staff, of course, but who's here, who's not, who are we drafting, who we not drafting, who we paying, who we not paying. That's a general manager's job in the NBA with, in most cases, very little input from a head coach. Still, in college athletics, the head coach is going to be the dominant figure.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you what I want. Now you go make it happen. But I'll tell you what I want, as opposed to vice versa. But this is something I had been talking about for years in advance of name, image, and likeness becoming a thing. That it would be crazy to me to be investing all of this money in head coaches, assistant coaches, players, travel, and not have somebody on your staff to manage this stuff. It's a new sport now.
Right.
We just did our Candid Coaches question, CBSSports.com, published yesterday, the latest question. And we just asked more than 100 college basketball coaches from all different levels of the sport, what is the most you have been asked, you or your staff have been asked to pay for a player out of the transfer portal. Not what have you paid, but what have you been asked to pay? Like, hey, if you're interested, it's going to cost you this.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't only poll power conference coaches because we polled from all levels of the sport. So the answers can be a little skewed. For instance, you talk to somebody from Delaware, the answer might be $50,000 because that's the level at which Delaware is operating.
Yeah.
But of the power conference coaches we asked, what's the most money you've been asked to pay for a player? 77% of the power conference coaches said it was at least $1 million. In most cases, above 1.5. And in one case, I heard from a coach, he said, I've been asked for $5 million for one player. We did not do it. And the price came down. The player never got $5 million. But that's what we were told it would take to get it done. And what's interesting is talking to coaches about this, one of the things they have noted is that the numbers have spiked dramatically very quickly. I talked to one coach. He said, 2 years ago, my NIL budget was $2.5 million. That's about what we had in a collective to spend on players. And that was near the top of the sport. 2 years ago, 2.5. He said, now 2.5 gets you nowhere. Like, you need 6 or 7 now. The young person who was asking for $50,000 2 years ago is now asking for $200,000. And the young person who was asking for $200,000 2 years ago now thinks they can get $1 million because there's more money available. Like it's all more organized now. These schools have initially some schools were smart and forward thinking and they got on board. Other schools were like, we're not going to deal with this. And now they've come around because you almost have to. So it's more organized now. There's more money into it now. And there's just more money to be spent. Think about if it was the NBA and you have a salary cap that's here, and then 2 years later, the entire salary cap had tripled. That's about where we are with college athletics, at least on the college basketball side. So there's a lot of money out there. And very mediocre players who have little to no impact are making real money. I mean, there are guys who are going to average 5 points per game this year for college basketball teams, and they will make more money than the average person listening to us right now. It's just the way it is. And with head coaches having so many other responsibilities, adding all of this negotiating on top of it is just, there's only so many hours in the day. You need general managers. And I'm not surprised that Alabama has one and that he is now the highest paid one in the country. 3-year contract worth $825,000 annually. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only $825,000 annually. Because if this guy shows himself or continues to show himself to be one of the best at this very new job in college athletics, well, then somebody's going to say, if we're paying our offensive coordinator $1.5 million and our defensive coordinator $1.7 million, why don't we just go offer the general manager at Alabama $1.5 million? Like this guy, if he's really the best, or how about this? Whoever is really the best, they'll be making twice that 2 years from now.
Yeah.
That's how quickly these numbers are going to spike. Once people know this is important and we can't do the job without somebody doing that job, then there'll just be a bidding war for these people the same way there's a bidding war for everything else. And whoever, right now, the highest paid general manager in college football is Courtney Morgan at Alabama at $825,000 a year. Guarantee you, if we're talking on August 20th, 2026, whoever the highest paid general manager in college football is will be making twice that. Guarantee it. A lot of money out there, Bennett. You should go get some of it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Number 3.
All right, Bennett. This is a wild situation we got. You sent me this bright and early.
Yeah, I like this one. I don't know if I like it.
There's a fella named Gosder Cherilus.
I think that's right.
And he's a former first-round pick, played at Boston College, also played for the Patriots.
Yep.
And
Played for the Colts, played for the Bucks, I think.
He was on a Delta flight this weekend. He appeared in court yesterday. And he has pleaded guilty, not guilty to interfering with the operation of an aircraft, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. So he's pleaded not guilty.
Okay.
Hey, innocent till proven guilty.
Of course.
But the evidence is damning. You want to tell folks what happened? You need me to tell them what happened.
I believe he. Let me see how I can put this. In plain terms, I believe he pulled out his penis and started urinating on other passengers.
Woo! Can't do that, can you?
I don't think you can get away with that one.
What would make you want to do that, you think, besides alcohol?
Bro, that...
And even with alcohol, it never occurs to me to urinate on passengers on a plane. I mean, I've been blacked out drunk on planes before.
Yeah.
And all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just never occurred to me. I think I'm the best passenger. I think I'm the best. Because you know what I do on a plane?
You sleep. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I put my little earbuds in, and I just keep... Now, I got kids now, so it's like, we're the problem.
I'm not
these
disruptive.
Days. Yeah.
I've never been disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, like...
What about when you got your family with you, though?
I mean, do I threaten to murder my kids sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, of course. But that's just part of it. I'm just being me. I can't be held responsible for my whole family.
I feel the same.
All right? You can't judge me based on my whole family. Judge me based on me.
Mm-hmm.
I speak for me.
Yeah.
I travel for me.
Yep.
And when I'm alone, I'm the best traveler. Now, have I ever, fallen too hard asleep and they can't wake me up when they land?
Right. That's tough.
That's tough. I apologize. But when you hear about people being disruptive on planes,
mm-hmm.
I'm just never going to be disruptive. I had a issue, not an issue. I was flying home from somewhere, and I've almost always got, I Uber to the airport. And the reason I almost always take a car service to the airport is because I'm going to enjoy drinks on the way home. And I, don't want to drink and drive after you leave Memphis International. That's not safe. That's not a safe thing to do. So Bennett, what are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at the description of what happened here. This is in the police report. It says about an hour into the flight, investigators said he walked up to an elderly woman, exposed himself, and emptied his entire bladder for approximately 20 seconds.
What are we doing?
What
makes you do that? What makes you do that?
He's just sitting there and he's peeing on her.
I just don't get disruptive on flights, but people do.
Yeah.
And so this is a real thing that flight attendants have to deal with,
yes,
and other passengers have to deal with. I'm just saying, it's never me.
No, it's never me either.
It's never me. I was on a flight one time, so I wasn't driving home, and so I'm getting after it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a good time, and flight attendant comes back by and she goes, and this was right in the heart of COVID too, where you have to wear masks. The whole, it was one of those deals, right? And it's when people were going bananas on planes all the time because they were having to wear masks. And so people were constantly fighting on planes. Like,
what an era.
I'll never, don't tread on me. And
that was a wild time.
And my body and whatever, remember that?
Yeah,
people were crazy.
I remember all that.
People were wild. And so they were having a lot of problems with passengers. And I'd seen this. And so flight attendant comes back by and she goes, maybe she didn't say anything. Maybe she was just walking by hoping I wouldn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I stopped her. I said, excuse me, could I have another drink? And she said, I'm really not supposed to give you another one. And I said, why? And she said, because you've already had however many you've had. And I said, yeah, but I'll take more.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, but, we've just had a problem recently with, you got all the masks and you got people
alcohol,
already on edge,
yeah.
and then you mix that with alcohol, and next thing you know, people are taking their mask off and yelling at people with masks on, and it just gets bad. I said, I know. I've seen that. I've seen that on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I'm trying to stress to you. And I know you got no reason to believe me, but just trust me when I tell you, I'm not your problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be your problem. I could drink 50 more drinks, and I'm never going to be your problem. I respect the position you're in. I understand why you're saying what you're saying, but I'll never be your problem. But I respect the position you're in.
Yeah.
So we're all good.
And?
She brought me another drink.
Yeah. I pride myself on being that way as well.
Yeah.
Like, I can get sloppy, and you'll never have any issues from me.
You're not going to have an issue from me.
I'm never going to do anything bad.
I'm never going to do anything bad.
Yeah, like I might be irresponsible on FanDuel or something, but like I'm never going to act crazy on the plane ever.
Yeah, I just will not do it.
It is insane how smashed they allow people to get on airplanes. It's like, it's kind of weird.
Oh, I mean, I've been.
It's just like, okay, you got your card. Like,
I've been lights out on a plane. But here's the thing: like, it really is nothing to be proud of. I guess it's better than the alternative. I do not. I'm not like a loud and violent and like when I drink. You know, I mean, I got friends.
No, I just laugh. I just get.
I just don't.
Giggles,
I get quieter. I don't get louder. I might get more.
I get
a little looser with my storytelling. Like I'll be like, all right, I guess let's see how this story goes, and then I'll tell it, and I'll be like, I probably should have kept that one to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the extent of how wild I'll get.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get louder. I'm not gonna get crazier. I'm not gonna cause you a problem on a plane.
Right.
Meantime,
like
this guy,
dude.
I just steal.
Brain damage.
CTE.
It's gotta be.
Gotta be.
I mean, dude, like, I can understand, like, well, I can't understand, but like you just mentioned, you know, issues on a plane, people not moving seats, or, you know, you're stuck on the runway. Air travel gives people reasons to be frustrated, right? So that's totally understandable. But getting from there to I'm going to pull out my penis and pee on this elderly lady, I don't know. I don't
know how you get there.
I don't. I mean, you probably need like 30 to 40 drinks to get there. And I think even then I'd just go to sleep.
Yes. And then hear, there was another guy who just got arrested for trying to open the door of the plane. And they said he was on like 100 milligrams of edibles.
That seems insane too.
Which part?
It's not the edibles.
No,
it's your brain.
It's that something is being unlocked in you. Something's wrong with you.
Yes.
The edibles are unlocking something really wrong with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you know what a normal person does on edibles?
Just maybe go to sleep.
Just
watch
YouTube.
A show. Yeah. Right.
Normal people on edibles just watch you. Here's my impression of a normal person on edibles.
Uh-huh. That's it.
What? What do you say?
Right.
That's it. That's the way you should act if you're a normal person.
Yes. This guy was clearly not on edibles. He might have been on something. I don't know.
Like when okay, you take 100 milligrams, 45 minutes later, they're starting to kick in.
Yeah.
Now you want to open the plane door? I don't understand it.
I know.
I don't understand it.
That poor woman. I mean, you got to give her like some free flights or something. I know you didn't do anything, that it was this former NFL player who peed on her, but I think if you're the airline, if you're Delta, you got to take care of her.
Yeah, I mean,
like get her lifetime Sky Club membership.
I promise you, they've already reached out to her.
Yes.
All right.
That's damaging.
She got a nice Sky Miles dump in her account. I'm certain of it. All right, you can't just have a football player peeing on you, or really anybody. I don't think anybody should be allowed to pee on you on a plane.
No,
I don't want to. Sometimes this happens to people. They get older and they get a little, like
yeah.
But I don't think it's crazy to just say I don't think anybody should pee on anybody on a plane.
No,
I don't think that makes me an old man yelling at the clouds.
I don't think so either.
I think that's a reasonable opinion to hold. You shouldn't be peeing on people on planes.
No.
Number 4.
Hey, we got a new Netflix documentary. It dropped today.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it tonight.
Me too. Subject matter?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron McNair.
Yep. My favorite player of all time. I will never forget that when that happened.
July 4th.
Just shocking.
It's July 4th.
Yep.
Steve McNair, dead, age of 36, murder-suicide, his 20-year-old girlfriend.
Yep. I'll never forget it, man. I'll also never forget when Vernon made that joke at that Nashville thing. You don't remember that? Oh, Vernon, he'll tell it. Maybe he'll tell it on his show today. He went to something it was like a bunch of former Titans or something, and he made a Steve McNair joke, and it did not go over. I think he's got the audio.
It's not a great thing to joke about. I mean, the guy's a legend who was murdered. He was murdered.
Yeah.
By a 20-year-old woman.
Maybe.
Oh, Bennett, come on.
Are you serious?
You been on the For You tab?
Dude, if there's anything to be on the For You tab about, it is this case right here.
What do you think?
Bro, first off, like, I would lean towards she did not do it. That this is like, that something happened here.
Who killed Steve McNair then, Ben?
Okay,
Jesus
so
Christ.
apparently there was a lot of money. She had money issues. Okay,
Yes.
that you can see in their text message exchanges that she needed money. Okay, and he was bringing her money, right? And so when he got killed, he was asleep. That's what the police believed, that he was asleep when he was killed on the couch. Typically, with crimes of passion, when you're dealing with like a lover or something like that, there's gonna be build up. Like it's not just gonna. It's hard for me to believe.
Okay, Bennett. Okay.
Yeah, like this.
So let me make sure I hear what you're hearing. Okay, the official record is that they were in a relationship, and she murdered him and then shot herself. That's the official record. What you're saying, because I think this is coming back to me. There was a great podcast a few years ago on this.
Yeah, the Sports Illustrated one.
Yes.
Yep.
We had the guy who did it.
Yeah.
We had him on.
Yep.
It was great. And I'm hoping this documentary pulls from that. But I think I remember there was at least a theory, and it wasn't like backed with real evidence. There was a theory that she was having money issues and she could set him up. In other words, I'll be at this apartment. The door will be unlocked. There's money inside. There's jewelry inside. Come in, blast him and get it, or just rob us and get whatever. And then they decided to, instead of just do him, they did her too, to, do away with that knowledge and set it up to make it look like she did the whole thing. I think that was something that showed up on a For You tab or the equivalent of at some point. But there's nothing to back that. That's just that's just For You tab stuff. That's just For You tab stuff.
The way that he was killed, there was a lot of evidence suggesting that like she would have had to have been a pretty good shot to the way. And now, granted, he was asleep on the couch.
Well, I mean, I could shoot somebody in the head.
I understand,
if they're
man.
asleep on the couch. I've never shot a gun in my life.
I'm just saying, like, I think that there's more
Bennett,
to this.
you go to sleep on the couch, hand me a gun, blow your brains out.
I got you. I think there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Okay,
I
Bennett.
do.
Okay.
I do. It was also, there was a lot of criticism of the Nashville Police Department, how they handled the investigation. Like, I think that there's, I don't know. I don't like being Mr. Conspiracy Theory guy, but.
Well, for somebody who doesn't like being it, you sure do trot these out a lot.
I'm just, I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe this story for what it is.
What if Lee Harvey Oswald killed Steve McNair? You ever think about that?
I don't think about that.
Hey, the documentary is.
I will be watching.
I will be too. Now, I got real excited, and now I'm less excited because it looks like it's just one episode, 57 minutes. How can you tell the Steve McNair story in 57 minutes? They needed 2 hours and 40 to tell that story about them killing all them Indians in Oklahoma. They needed 2 hours and 40 for that. We needed like 10 hours to tell the Michael Jordan story. How are we going to do Steve McNair in one?
That's a good point. It's a good point. I'm excited to watch it though.
I'm excited to watch it too.
Yeah, that was super sad, man. I mean, he's a legend. Like my favorite player ever. Like I said,
got to be careful around them 20-year-olds, Bennett.
Apparently so.
Don't fall asleep.
If she did it,
don't fall asleep around a 20-year-old. You can learn that lesson the hard way.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 5.
Night 1 Democratic National Convention was last night in Chicago inside the United Center. I saw just this morning make the point. Steve Kerr made history last night.
What did he do?
Became the first person to ever speak at a major political party's convention inside of a building in which he also hit a title-winning shot.
Oh, okay, JB. That's a good one.
Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
Steve Kerr. All right, Becca. He did the Steph thing.
I saw that.
He said that. He went viral for that. Whatever. And, buddy, so last night was difficult for me, all right? In addition to, we had football practice and baseball practice. We had the Democratic National Convention, Mets, Orioles, and WWE Raw.
Yes.
It's too much.
I didn't get it. I saw a little bit of Raw.
I saw a little bit of Raw,
the beginning, yeah.
It was like, so we were...
Because as it was going on, I was locked into the Mets-Orioles game.
So it's tough. Somehow me and Lou got into an Eminem conversation. on the drive home from baseball practice.
The rapper?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we started, and he was like, we started discussing. I was discussing Eminem's catalog with my 7-year-old. You just, you talk about whatever you talk about, and so we start going through it a little bit, and "Lose Yourself" comes on, and he's like, "Yeah, I know this song," and I'm like, "Did you ever see when Ed Sheeran brought him out?" And he's like, "I think so, maybe not." And so we got home and we did that.
Yeah.
We watched Eminem videos on YouTube for a minute.
Cool.
And then it was like, all right, wrestling start. And turned it on, but then it just felt like I was missing too much other stuff having the main TV on wrestling. So I said, you know what? We'll catch up on wrestling another time. We'll put the main TV on the convention. And then we got Mets Orioles as well. There's just a lot going on last night.
Yep.
So I did turn it on eventually. I just bowed out of wrestling, and I was like, it's a big spectacle. I want to see what's going on. And it was a big spectacle. Hillary Clinton spoke. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. President Biden spoke at the end of the night. And, buddy, I mean really at the end.
I can't believe it.
They kept this man up so late. Like, y'all just told us he can't run for re-election.
Yeah, that's cruel.
Because he can't stay up late. Like, you just told us that. You just made this man not seek re-election, in part because once it gets past his bedtime, he can't really think or talk so much. And then they want to make this man stand up in front of the world and talk for a long time at 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast.
I thought he did okay.
I fell asleep.
Did you?
Yes. I fell asleep at some point. Here's what I remember thinking. All right. I was laying in bed. I'm not tweeting anything. I don't feel like I need to share my opinions nonstop on Facebook or Twitter like everybody else does. I can just keep them to myself until it's time for me to talk.
Yeah.
So here's what I remember. Here's what I remember thinking as I was watching President Biden speak. There was a moment where I was like, okay, well, this ovation's nice. Let's start there. You got a 4-minute standing ovation. He takes the stage and he doesn't start talking for 4 minutes. Not because he froze, but because he was accepting.
Yeah.
Accepting the.
It's a send off for Joe.
It's a send off. He was accepting the celebration. So then he starts speaking, and there was one moment where these are the thoughts that I had in this order. Oh, that's a nice ovation. I'm glad he's getting to enjoy this. That was one. Then I went, okay, Joe's kind of cooking. I'm like, okay, he's kind of cooking a little bit. And then my next thought was, this should be over by now.
Yeah, right.
All
Right.
You need Joe Biden to speak. I don't know exactly how long he spoke because I fell asleep, but I know it felt too long. Like, if I'd have said, let's get him up there for 12 minutes and call it a day. And it might have only been 12 minutes. I don't know, but it felt like it was a lot longer. And then I just, you know how it is when I'm laying down. Can't keep my eyes open. I have a hard time watching things when I'm laying down. And then it was just over. But I felt like they kept him out there too long and probably out there too late. Do you think it was by design? I've heard some people suggest that the reason he spoke so late was very intentional because the audience declines the later it gets because people start to fall asleep. And you got to have the president speak at the convention, but we know he's not a great speaker anymore. And the fewer people that watch this live, the better. What do you think of that? What the 4U tab tell you about that? I'm sure they got some conspiracies about that over there.
They definitely agreed with that. With that notion. Yeah, I mean, I buy it. I could buy it.
Well, you can't have him speaking at the beginning of the night or at the middle of the night. He's the president of the United States,
right?
So he's got to speak last. I tell you what, we're going to do. We're going to see how late it goes tonight.
Okay.
And how late it goes tomorrow.
What's going on tonight? Do we know?
I don't know.
Who's performing?
Jason Isbell performed last night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Good for him.
Good
for him.
Okay.
For a good University of Memphis alum right there inside the United Center.
He is a U of M alum.
Yeah, he's a U of M alum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he ever graduated, but I think he got an honorary degree.
Nice.
Either way, a lot of people don't know this. You don't have to graduate from a school to be an alum of that school. You just have to have attended it. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
You don't, technically speaking, you do not have to graduate from a school to be considered an alum of the school.
I did not know that.
If you attended a school, you were an alum of that school.
I really liked him in Killers of the Flower Moon, by the way. You mentioned that movie earlier this week. It made me think about it.
Jason?
Yeah, he was great in it.
He said he got cast. He said, I think I'm the first person to ever get cast in a movie simply because of the way I talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, it
just his
like
voice.
crucial to his role.
They just wanted his voice.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not an actor.
No.
But he does have that voice.
But he pulled it off. The scene when he's in the living room with Leonardo DiCaprio is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when he gets...
he held his own. I mean, you're going against one of the best actors of all time.
He did not look out of place.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I was nervous for him.
For sure.
But he did not look out of place. He had been in Billions as well, too. So he's done a little bit of, on-screen stuff.
Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's a different deal, right?
For sure.
It's one thing doing a Showtime hour-long TV show. This is Scorsese. Get Leonardo. I thought he held his own.
I did, too.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on tonight, but I'll turn it on.
Okay.
It's a big spectacle.
I don't think Kid Rock will be there.
I bet against Kid Rock.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there'll be big stars.
I'm sure someone big will be there.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. Whoever headlines tonight, we'll see what time they take the stage.
Okay.
And if it's similar, then we're going to have to tell that For You tab to go to hell. But if tonight they wrap up, say, an hour earlier, then there might be something too that we're trying to keep Sleepy Joe up a little too late.
I'll keep my eyes on that tab.
Yeah.
I'll keep my eyes on that tab. I like to see what's going on.
If I'm being completely honest.
Oh, I love seeing what's going on.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. Now, here's the thing. Way too many death videos. Like, to your point that you made a couple weeks ago.
So many people die.
Dude, I've seen more people die this year than, like, all the years of my life combined. Just because the For You tab.
My entire Twitter feed.
Yeah.
All I do throughout the day, every day, is I'm either watching videos of people die, car wrecks.
Yep.
Pedophiles get beat up.
Right.
Seen a million of those. And just good old-fashioned fist fights.
A lot of those, too.
I mean, I can't tell you how many street fights I've watched over the past few weeks.
Too. Yeah.
And here's the thing. There are people, there's a few of these folks that show up on the For You tab. Like there's this one guy, I don't even want to say his name.
Don't say it.
Because I hate his name so much.
Don't say it.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you before Elon Musk took over Twitter, I've never heard of this person.
Right.
I've never seen him on TV.
I bet I know exactly who you're talking about. I'll say it off air.
Is his initial CR?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
that's not.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
I don't know who this. It's like this person just got dropped into my world.
Yeah.
And they say the worst shit you've ever heard every day. All right, it's just misleading nonsense every day.
Yeah.
Like I got a phone call from a buddy last night, and he'll vote differently than me in the election.
Sure.
And I mean, I wasn't on the phone 1 minute, and he was already like, well, you know that Biden is already trying to sabotage I was like, man, this is why I don't answer your phone calls. All right? The only reason I answered now is because you saw me. I know I just passed you. All right? So I felt like if I didn't answer, you would know that I'm not busy because you just saw me.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I answered.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't answer, because you're poisoned. You don't know. Like, call some of your weirdo friends and talk to them about this, and y'all can all have fun together. But don't include me in this nonsense. You sound crazy to me, all right? This guy's exactly like that. He just got dropped into my world. I see his tweets every day. I still don't know what he does other than tweet. But he is prominently featured on Twitter now. He's got a whole bunch of followers.
Sure.
People I know follow him. And somehow he ends up on my For You tab. And I could just block him. There's another woman, and she just, like, she's even worse. She just, like, genuinely makes up stuff. Like, it'll be like, I'm hearing President Biden is dying now. And then it's like, hold up.
Thousands of likes. Yeah.
And it's like, you've got however many people thinking, like, and she's never, far as I know, she's never been right about anything. All right? But I see it every day. And I know what you're thinking. Just block them, right? Then they'll never show up again. Except I kind of like to know what these wild people are saying.
I do too. Yeah, I do too.
But then I get aggravated at them because I'm like, either they're so lost they don't know what they're saying is untrue, or they're intentionally misleading people. Either one's disgusting.
Oh, it's intentionally misleading.
There's a lot of that.
Yes.
A lot of that.
Yes. Because you get the likes and the retweets, and so then it just populates on people's feeds. Yeah.
It's wild out there.
Yeah, it feeds into the ego.
All right, you keep your eye on it.
I'll keep an eye on it.
You keep your eye on it. I got other things to do today. But you keep your eye on the For You tab. And if we get any interesting conspiracies connected to President Biden speaking last night, then you weed through them, Separate fact from fiction.
Find the best ones. We'll put them on the show tomorrow.
Find the best ones and then and send them to me. Be back with GP's Carryout.
We have 2 pairs of shoes that literally are not released to the public right now, and we're going to give you a live look.
First look in hand of the Armor Year 3.
Look at that leather.
Leather is super nice on this here. I actually tried to cheat this into my top 10 so far, but Kelsey said I could. These have yet to be seen. These are the Armor Year 4s. These are called Phantom. I'm sorry, these are called Phantom.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Scottie Pippen Jr. so clearly should have been the MVP. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to a 5-0 record going into the championship game. Led the Memphis Grizzlies to the championship game. Was first team all Summer League. What was Jalen Wilson? Second team. What are we doing here? Snubbed. Capital S-N-U-B. Snubbed.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
GG gonna be just fine, bro. Like he probably, like Josh probably number 1 and he's probably number 2 most talented teammates I've ever had.
Just raw talent.
Like, bro, like
just go to the gym, hoop type stuff.
Like you walk in the gym and he might be doing a workout and you're gonna look over and be like, damn.
The Chris Vernon Show, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused in the first hour on the University of Memphis men's basketball program, and that's because the Maui Invitational bracket is now set. My colleague John Rothstein broke the news yesterday afternoon. Memphis going to open with the reigning and back-to-back national champion UConn Huskies. That's a wild way to start a week out in Hawaii.
Yep.
Could get a second game against Michigan State, and could theoretically get a third game against a North Carolina or an Auburn or an Iowa State. In other words, Memphis could legitimately exit Maui with, if you win it, at least 2 victories over preseason top 10 teams. And if they were to come out of there undefeated, having not lost any games in advance of that as well, I don't care where they're ranked on the Monday of the Maui Invitational. If they win on Monday, win on Tuesday, win on Wednesday, that following Monday when the AP poll comes out, can't tell you where they'd be ranked, but they would be getting some first place votes. They would launch right into the top 10, I'm certain. So it's a daunting task. 4 of the 8 teams in the field are what I would consider top 10 teams in America. So there's no easy path to success, but it is an opportunity. If you want to make a big impression on the country in the first month of the season, Maui is the place to do it, and Memphis will have an opportunity to get that done.
What's today's biggest game?
Oh, I'm taking you back to Citi Field.
Okay.
We're going back to Flushing, Queens.
Yep.
It's Orioles and Mets, game 2. Tonight, Let's see who we got pitching.
Dean Kramer's pitch for the O's.
Jose Quintana is on the mound for the Mets. Right now we got it New York minus 120. Baltimore's even money, 6-10 first pitch. How are you going to act against a Mets team that's now 5 games above 500 and positioned to chase down those evil Atlanta Braves for an NL wild card?
So Dean is interesting. He's not having a great season, but he's one of those, like, if he can get out of the first inning, he typically will just settle in a little bit. But he could also give up 3 runs in the first.
Sounds
inning.
good to me. Let's give up 3 runs in the first then.
I'm hoping this is one of those games where he settles in a little bit and gets a rhythm. But I'm not super optimistic. That being said,
I'm hoping he gets his ass blasted.
I'm going to take my team.
Some people, you know what? Some people, you know what's interesting about this world? 2 types of people in this world. People who learn from their mistakes and people who don't.
It was looking good for me last night.
Really?
We had gotten the momentum. We had gained the momentum in the game.
Yeah, but then here comes Edwin Diaz. So, momentum over.
Okay.
Momentum done. Here comes Edwin Diaz. So you don't have momentum anymore. We got momentum. We take momentum back. Not by doing anything on the field other than bringing in Sugar Diaz.
Yep. Now give me the O's. Give me the O's.
Even money. Bennett says take Baltimore at even money. Some people don't learn from their mistakes.
Give me those.
Some people don't learn from their mistakes.
What are we watching on TV?
All right, we can watch Untold, the Murder of Aaron McNair.
I'm going to watch that.
I'm going to watch that too.
Yep.
It's debuting on Netflix right now. Also, we've got the Democratic National Convention. So, it's a big TV day. This is going to be a good Tuesday.
It is a good Tuesday.
It's not Moose Knuckle Monday. It's not Moose Knuckle Monday. And it's not Food Truck Friday. But Tuesdays are pretty good.
Tuesday's solid.
And we got some good stuff to watch today.
Yeah.
I'm fired up. I feel like we're going to have a good day.
Okay.
All right.
Come on, O's. Come on, man. We're in a freaking division race. What the hell?
Bennett, you can't just try to
We
get one.
should have ran away with this thing a long time
ago. That was Francisco Alvarez at the plate. You're just trying to get a ball over 3-0. Like he's just not going to swing like this.
That was outrageous. That was an outrageous pitch.
Like this is 8-year-old baseball where you can just I guess I'll just get one over. That's Francisco Alvarez. I dare you to just get one over. You see how hard he swung at that ball?
Ridiculous.
Green light, 3-0 count. I dare you to just spin one up here.
Come on, Gunner.
I dare you to spin one up here. You saw what happened. Some people learn from their mistakes, other people's don't. You gotta stay awake around these 20-year-old women. That's what you're gonna learn on Netflix today. You doze off around a 20-year-old woman one time. See what happens to you.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare situation, buddy.
What's the best thing we've read?
Okay. Normally I tell you to go read something. Today I'm just going to read you something. Can I read you? Can I read you something?
Sure.
Normally I tell you to read something. Today I'm just going to read you something.
Is it going to be as good as my police report about the guy peeing on the old lady in the plane?
It'll be different.
Okay.
But I think it'll make you happy.
Okay.
So let me give you a background. There's this guy named Dennis. And, he listens to Ion College Basketball podcast.
Okay.
And also has started listening to the GP show, all that stuff.
Shout out, Dennis.
He's from Maryland. Okay.
I love Maryland.
Okay. I know you do.
I love Maryland.
You're really gonna like this story.
Yep.
So he's got a couple of children, college-age children, and one goes to Georgia, and then he's got a son who is enrolling at Ole Miss, going to Ole Miss right now.
Okay.
These people from Maryland, they're sending their children to the SEC.
Okay.
All right. And so he reached out to me because he's like, okay, my son's going to Ole Miss. That's in Mississippi. Do I know anybody in Mississippi? Oh, GP. All right. We don't actually know each other.
I got you.
But he reached out to me. And I just sort of helped him with a couple of things. He was like, hey, what do I do about this? Do you know what I could do about that? And I was like, yeah, I can help you with this. And let me put you in touch with this person. And we just sort of created a dialogue back and forth.
Cool.
Right? We're email buddies now.
Cool.
Okay. Anyway, I got a note from him yesterday. And I'll just read it to you.
Okay.
He said, GP, I just wanted to close the loop here, so on and so forth. But I just wanted to say one more thing before I stop bothering you. And Dennis, just know you would never bother me. I was happy to help. He said, I just want to say one more thing. before I stop bothering you. And here's how the email continues. We're from Maryland, as I've mentioned before, and this weekend we took our son to Ole Miss to move him in for his freshman year. We flew into Memphis and stayed there for 2 nights. I know you often talk about people shitting on Memphis as a destination, but man, we had a great time. Maybe I am prone to being open-minded because people shit on Baltimore all the time, and sure, there are tough areas of Baltimore, but there are amazing areas too, and I got similar vibes in Memphis. And then he lists the highlights for us. He said the Peabody was great. Didn't know I was a fan of Ducks, but it's a neat tradition, and it had a great hotel and a top 5 lobby bar. It really is a great lobby bar.
It is a great lobby bar.
We ate at Central Barbecue, and it was amazing. He said, we travel a lot for work, and the Memphis airport is great. Convenient to downtown and the perfect size. Not huge, but has everything you would need. Finally, the people. Everyone is so friendly. Busboys, servers, hotel staff, just great. Northeast people are so not friendly. The warmth and hospitality that was shown to us stands out in Memphis. Anyway, we'll be in Memphis a bunch the next 4 years, given the proximity to Oxford, and I'm looking forward to it. I know you're proud of Memphis, and you should be. Thanks for the help, and take care. From Dennis.
That's awesome.
How about that?
I love that.
I thought you would.
I love that.
We get so used to sometimes hearing people either discuss Memphis from a distance or come to Memphis and complain about it.
Yep.
And so it's nice when somebody with an open mind comes here and says, I'm not going to judge this place off of a television show. I'm not going to judge this place off of some bad headlines I've read or crime rates I've seen. I'm just going to immerse myself into the city and try to enjoy it. And then they walk out of here saying, that was a great time. And I really do think, and I told him this, him being from Baltimore probably helps with that.
Oh, no doubt.
Because you can see, okay, sure, the stuff people say about Baltimore, it's not untrue.
Correct.
But it's not entirely true either.
No, it's one of my favorite cities to go to.
And the negative things you hear about Memphis and crime and poverty, it's not untrue. But it's not entirely true. There were great places here. And
great people.
Great people here. And we're not all running around shooting each other on the interstate, although that does happen. It does happen. And I really do think that Memphis and Baltimore are probably similar in that way. The perception of them is one thing, and you get in it, and that stuff's real. But, man, you can see some really great stuff, too.
Yep.
I like that Dennis and his family did that. I like that he shared it with me. And I just like it when people come here and they have that. They leave with that impression as opposed to a different one. So, anyway, that's what to read today.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Wednesday. Mike Wallace be in studio with me, so chop it up with him. See what happens tonight at the convention. See if the Orioles can win one for a change.
Let's go, O's.
LGM. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. We'll meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.